Let's settle now for the details. And in our first story, Member of Parliament for North Tong constituency, Samuel Okujoto Ablakwa, has charged Parliament to devise a mechanism to detect MPs who breach the constitutional threshold of absenting themselves from parliamentary duties for 15 sittings. In the view of the NDC MP, the internal mechanisms will ensure the taxpayer receives great service from their MPs. His comments come on the back of concerns raised by some members of the Majority Caucus, mounting pressure on its leadership to refer the conduct of Dome Kwabena MP Sarah Adra Safo to the Privileges Committee after abandoning her parliamentary duties for 15 continuous sittings. But Mr. Ablakwa believes there are two other NPP MPs, Kennedy Ohene Ajapong of Asin Central and Henry Kote of Ayawaso Central MP, who have also absented themselves from Parliament above the 15 days deadline, just like the MP for Dome Kwabena Adrasafo, insisting all three must be dragged to the Privileges Committee.
Our constituents should know that we are doing our best in representing them. The ministerial positions that people occupy, they are there to work for the Republic. And sometimes there are some high-level matters that a chief director cannot work on, an active minister cannot work on. It is you, as minister, who, having been nominated, vetted, approved by the House, and sworn into office, you have that authority. And you have this really dysfunctional system where people can just go AWOL, and the system does not even detect it. I'm more worried about that. How is it that Parliament, the Speaker's office, the institution, the entire institution, we do not detect such things? And people get, if I had not taken it upon myself to go through this. I mean, so as an institution, I think that we need to carry out an introspection. We need to do some reforms, and we need to put in place the necessary checks. Because if people realize that they can do this and get away with it, then you see, it's an incentive for bad behavior. So, beyond raising this matter about these three MPs, I want to see Parliament carry out institutional reforms so that internally we will be able to detect this once the 15-day mark is crossed. Because it's not for nothing that the framers of the Constitution knew that there might be some public officials who may be elected and will just abdicate or just derelict, just go AWOL. They will just not, be there to serve their people, particularly when their people need them most. And I am deeply worried that as an institution, this can escape everybody, and people can do these things and get away with it. So I want to see fundamental structural reforms moving forward so that these things do not recur. But on the matter of by-elections, if there has to be a referral, it has to be 3 MPs, not 1.
He also observed that MPs who fail to show up in Parliament without the Speaker's permission undermines the Speaker's authority, a situation, he argues, should not be entertained.
Because, you see, it's even not respectful to the Speaker of Parliament and to the House and to the people who voted for you. I mean, the provisions in the Constitution and in our standing orders are clear. If you have justification, write to the Right Honourable Speaker and seek approval. So how is it that people just elect to go AWOL, to disappear, to shirk their responsibilities, to abdicate? They show no respect to the Speaker's office. They do not seek permission. And their constituents and the House now suffers for it. This cannot continue. And some of us are doing this more for the reforms that is needed and more for the stronger, because you see, we carry out oversight over the executive, and we are responsible for ensuring that there are checks and balances. Charity must begin at home. Within our own institution, we must put in place the necessary systems that will forestall situations like this from recurring.
We'll get into this discussion later in the bulletin, but before then, the majority caucus in Parliament has described as okay the chaos and disturbances over the purchase of nomination forms for polling station executives. According to the majority, the rancor over the forms is indication members want to serve the party, a situation he believes makes the MPP very attractive. The purchase of nomination forms has been met with pockets of violence across the country amid allegations of some party executives hoarding the forms for their preferred aspirants. The Deputy Majority Chief Whip Habib Idrisu has been speaking to my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
Democracy everywhere is a democracy challenge. Yes, I know that in trying to access the form, I have also heard and have seen in the social media that some of these things are happening. It is rather unfortunate that it is happening. So I just think that it's not a good thing for our party, but it is just also telling us that competition, democracy in a political party means that the political party is attractive. So that is the positive part of it. The MPP as we see it, the MPP as it is very attractive. If NDC open their nomination, nobody will go and pick up the form. The party is not attractive at all. So this is an indication that people still love the party.
People are fighting and disagreeing just because they want to serve the party.
They want to, what are they doing? To be a polling station executive means you are going to represent the party at the polling station level. You need to mobilize people at the polling station level. You need to man the ballot box at the polling station level. And as we all know in Ghana, elections are won at the polling station. So if people are already fighting at the polling station level to represent the party, it means that the party is attractive. And in 2024, we don't need to actually be worried so much because the people who would be the polling station executive are ready to man the polling station to protect the ballot box and protect our third term.
You're still watching JoyNews Desk with me, Mapita CBD, still on the absenteeism of Ajaswa for the Deputy Majority Whip Habib Idrisu, says it won't be prudent at this point to trigger the constitutional provision for her to be removed. He spoke to parliamentary correspondent Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
I don't think the absence of the Honourable Member of Parliament for Domi Kobinya is a worry to everybody. And leadership, we haven't actually say or will not actually downplay the fact that when she's not coming, it's not affecting the government business. But if members of Parliament are communicating, saying that they want to invoke Order 60, as you said. I haven't actually looked at the order very well, but I do know that 1/6. Yes, 1/6. But actually, the Order 16 doesn't precede Article 97 of the Constitution. Article 97 of the Constitution have made it clear that if a member of Parliament have absent himself for 15 days, the Speaker, a member will need to move, and it has to be referred to the Committee of Privileges. I don't think we have gotten there yet.
She has absented herself for 15 days without permission, and the votes and proceedings of this House captures that.
If you are telling me that on authority, fine, I cannot say that on authority because looking at, I don't think we have gotten there yet.
Today is the 16th day. I have checked. I've done my homework.
Oh, okay.
I have checked. Okay. Right from January 25, when Parliament resumed, Adjusafo has not been in the chamber, and that is a fact.
Okay, so if that is the fact, but you see, the Constitution in Article 97, like I said, it has made it clear that if he or she hasn't written to the Speaker, the point is that you might not see her name in the order paper or something, and probably maybe he has notified the Speaker.
If you are notified the Speaker, you are absent with permission. But Adjoa is absent without permission.
So that's what I'm saying.
Should her conduct be referred to the Privilege Committee? Simple.
No, at the moment I will not make such an emphatic statement whether it should be referred to the Privilege Committee or not. I cannot make such a statement. I cannot make such a statement. I think when we get to the bridge, we'll cross it.
But have you reached out to her as a leadership?
Oh, leadership, we have been in touch with her previously. She was in the House when we passed the budget, and she was in the House when the appropriation bill was passed. She was in the House when we were adjoining for 2021. But when we resume in 2020, yes, we haven't actually have a serious government business where we will need her present, but I haven't cited her. But like I said, we have been in touch with her. She has other issues that she is dealing with. But at the end of the day, we are reaching out to her, and she's still a member of our caucus, and we are doing all whatever we can to make sure that we assist her in a way. Activating Article 97 and then activating the privileges committee or referring her to that. I think that it is premature for now for us to determine. We in leadership haven't considered that yet, even though it is not our call. Any member could be able to do that.
So what do you say to your colleagues who are calling for that?
At the moment, like I said, I prefer not to actually make a statement with regards to that one. I just prefer that maybe leadership will meet and then be able to take a decision.
How soon would this be? Because people are worried. I mean, your caucus is where your members
leadership will meet, and you will know when leadership meets. Because
but do you know when she's arriving?
I said leadership will meet on that decision, and when leadership meets, then we'll be able to discuss the welfare of every member, every member being present in the chamber, every member while you are absent in the chamber. It's the decision of the whips and that of the leadership. So definitely leadership will have a meeting, and we'll be able to see where we are, what we can be able to do.
Now, Nehemiah Atiga is co-founder of Odeko, and he joins us via Zoom. Good morning, sir, and thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. How are you?
All right, now you've been tracking absenteeism in Parliament for some time now. What do you make of the latest issues of some MPs absenting themselves?
I mean, this is very exciting for us because we've been working on this over the years, and we've always pushed for the fact that MPs have to be accountable. And being accountable means also being present in the chamber to carry out, or even being present in committees to carry out their core mandate of legislature and oversight and all of that. We've attempted to even go the legal route by trying to trigger the law to make some of these MPs vacate their seats, because Article 97 Clause 1C says that if they've been absent for a certain period, their seats, they need to vacate their seats. And also, their own standing order says that the Privileges Committee has to take charge after a motion is moved. Unfortunately, them, in terms of maybe some sort of peer review, no one has ever made the effort to actually ensure that even the Privileges Committee take the steps that are captured in their standing orders. So when we made that attempt, I mean, I'm sure some of you know what happened. The bailiff was detained, and that was difficult for us to serve them in any way. So the only option, if any citizen wanted to do that, just like us, would have been substituted service. So we are happy that this is happening, because now everybody is looking at that article in the Constitution, and it will be interesting to see who triggers it, whether the minority would make that effort or the majority would do that themselves.
I mean, first of all, this is not the first time it's happening, and it sounds like a hopeless situation. So how do we ensure that our MPs are punctual?
The Constitution is clear on what it is, and their own standing orders also gives a certain provision of how it should be dealt with.
Yeah.
For us as citizens, we need to engage with our MPs and find out why they are going in contravention of our Constitution, because you are there to uphold our Constitution. And so if you are not doing so, why are you not doing so? Maybe they have legitimate reasons. I mean, but even that, your rules gives you the opportunity to be absent with permission.
Yeah.
So if he's absent with permission, it would have been different. If you are absent without permission, that's where the challenge comes in. Unfortunately, that also means that the law is being taken for granted, because you as lawmakers, you are supposed to try and adhere to these provisions in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And you are going in contravention to it because you are being absent without permission. Sometimes you look at the chamber and you have just 10 people sitting in there. You're just wondering what's going on. How will any business be done Are they going to take any vote? So you notice that they are only there when there are major decisions or they think that is relevant for them, for them to be there. So what, you leave a few people to deliberate on other issues?
Yeah.
Why were you elected? You were elected. Imagine you have hired someone to work for you as citizens, and your employee doesn't show up to work at all without permission, and things like that. You are either going to query that employee or fire the employee.
Of course.
So citizens have to query their employees, who are the MPs. Now the MPs are not even making effort to engage with their citizens. They sometimes forget that having town hall meetings and things like that are important. So it seems like the only time citizens are going to MPs are probably asking for things, whether development projects or even things for funeral and all of those things.
Yeah.
And then they are left to do what they want. And so they become gods rather than servants to us. So instead of serving us, they are sitting there and feeling differently about things. So it just feels like there's a nonchalance around this whole issue over the years, where, yes, some of our reports have gotten some MPs not being re-elected because once the citizens see the number of times they were absent or whether they were silent the entire period, they voted against them. But it has to be a continuous thing. You cannot, just like the example of someone working for you, you expect the person to be there all the time
to come to work. Yeah.
In this case, the person is not doing so. Maybe she has issues with childbirth and some of the things that seemingly is rumored to be going around.
Yeah.
Those are legitimate issues. So let her be absent with permission. Once she's absent without permission, then she shouldn't be there. And so the argument about holding them to ransom is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Because clearly somebody should move the motion and let the law work.
Now, on this matter and talking about the law working, why isn't Odikro going to court?
So like I said, our previous attempts, they were detaining the bailiffs were being harassed, all sorts of things happened, and it sort of tied our hands in a way. And so that was a difficulty we went through. I think now if we were to do so, we'll push for substituted service, where once we publish anywhere, whether in a newspaper or anywhere on their notice boards, that would mean that they've been served. And so maybe that we would look at considering that. But aside that, it would be difficult to do anything else because just like the Asin North MPU, you have noticed what has happened to the bailiff. And that's how they play. The law has created a loophole for them. And that loophole then gives them the opportunity to say that if I'm going to Parliament or I'm leaving, you cannot serve me and all of those things. And then they've been applying it to the letter and they've taken advantage of the situation. So
now, before I let you go, since Parliament resumed, have you been tracking and what does the data show?
We've been tracking, and I'll say that Adjoa hasn't been present since this particular second session started on January 25th when they reconvened. She's been absent to date. So we would eventually put out the entire data for Ghana and everyone to see how our members are being truant when it comes to their core mandate of being there in Parliament, whether in the chamber or whether in their committees to work, and then everybody would see. And then hopefully, maybe as sophisticated as citizens are becoming, they may then make effort to hold their representatives accountable, because it's our responsibility as citizens. We have the responsibility to hold them accountable, and we need to do that. So we'll share the data in due course.
All right, we'll be waiting for that data, and that is Mr. Nehemiah Atiga, co-founder of Odikro. Now, the acting Tamale Metropolitan Director of Health, Dr. Hilarious Abewu, has raised concerns over absenteeism among nurses in all 52 health facilities in the metropolis. He said only 1/3 of the staff go to work regularly. He said the sick visit these facilities and there is no one to attend to them.
Speaking on a panel discussion at the 2021 Annual Performance Review meeting of the Tamale Metro Health Directorate on the theme Improving the Quality of Routine Service in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, the role of effective human resource management in the Tamale metropolis. Dr. Bewu cited a health facility only 18 out of the 60 health workers attend work regularly.
Generally, only about a third of the people who are on our payroll come to work regularly. In one of our healthcare centers, we had about 60 staff on duty, on roll. If you do an analysis of the attendance, it's only about 18 people that come to work regularly, which means the rest, 32, virtually don't show up at work, but they get paid every month. The situation is very similar across all the healthcare centers. It is time, therefore, for all of us to put our heads together to address these challenges so that we can all be assured that should any of us develop an emergency here in this room and rush to any of our healthcare facilities, our facilities will not be the reasons why we die prematurely.
The health director for the Kumbungu district, Dr. Barkisu Seydou, attributed some of the challenges the health sector in the region is facing to what she described as poor job description.
How many of us here have been oriented on work, or have been given some orientation about transfer, posting, even the very work you do you have any job description? Who received this appointment letter with a job description? So sometimes that is where the problem comes in. You fit into the system and you observe there are so many wrong. So we've seen so many wrong things happen so much that we think that is a norm. And so anytime a manager fails to grant it, the manager is being seen as being very wicked or does not want to comply. I've heard a lot of names. The manager is seen to be very, very difficult. But sometimes when you engage even the very staff and you try to explain to them some of these issues, they begin to understand you. But then there are millions of others. If our own staff do not even understand these policies, how do we expect other stakeholders to understand this?
The health director for the Tolong district, Dr. Osman Seydou, raised concerns over maldistribution of staff, which he attributed to interference from politicians and traditional authorities.
The only problem is there is maldistribution. And these are some of the reasons why there is maldistribution. There is serious interference from our traditional leaders and also our politicians too. And the third thing is, we're within our own selves. We have conflict of interest.
Let's go to the Upper West region now, where Wa West District Director of Health Services, Clifford Van Kumwini, has expressed worry over the use of production working hours by nurses to look for water. He noted some health facilities and communities are without potable water, forcing the nurses to move closer to communities in Burkina Faso with gallons to look for water. Clifford Van Kumwini therefore made an appeal to the government and benevolent organizations to come to the aid of the health facilities. Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from there.
Health sector review meetings held by the various metropolitan, municipal and district health directorates in the country are aimed at taking stock of the achievements and challenges. It is also an accountability mechanism where the performance indicators of the directorate are presented and discussed with their key stakeholders with a view to finding ways to enhance service delivery. The Wa West District is therefore no exception, as major stakeholders in the health sector, including heads of decentralized institutions, civil society organizations, development partners, and traditional rulers, were brought together to deliberate on issues on the performance indicators of the district. Wa West District Director of Health Services, Clifford Van Kumwini, set the tone of the conference by laying bare the successes chalked under the year in review.
We increased our institutional or skill deliveries from 54.4% to a 63.6% with a set target of 60. This was achieved by training and deploying midwives to facilities including chief zones that contributed tremendously to the skill delivery average.
Clifford Venkumani, however, lamented on how staff risk their lives to armed robbers due to lack of accommodation.
There are instances where staff cannot get a room to rent in the community where they have been posted, and that compels these staff to commute daily for work, impacting on their health, exposing them to robbery, and also affecting their finances. Our facility water coverage is a major concern.
The West District Director of Health Services also expressed worry over the lack of potable water in some of their facilities, making some of the staff to use productive working hours, carrying gallons looking for water.
A lot of facilities are there without access to potable water, not even from the community. We have health facilities that do not have single borehole, and even the community that they are cited, there is no borehole. An example that I'll give is Thierry Chips Zoo. This gentleman commutes any other day to a nearby community closer to Burkina with his jerrycan on his motorbike to go and fetch water for use at the facility with his personal motorbike.
West District Chief Executive Valerie Dorothy noted the challenges enumerated by the Health Services Director.
The security situation in the district of late has not been the best, and that is very worrying, thereby putting fear and panic in the people to go about their work. The Assembly, in collaboration with both the regional and the district Security Council, are mapping out strategies to bring the situation under control.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Wachau.
Now let's do some education where some universities are preparing to resume academic work after the University Teachers Association of Ghana called off the strike for the next 14 days. But UTAG branch of the University of Education Winneba disagreed with National UTAG. UTAG announced a suspension of its strike that lasted more than 40 days after a high court ordered them to return to work. National President of UTAG, Professor Solomon Nunu, warned that members of UTAG are unhappy and will go all extent to ensure an improvement of its conditions of service.
The NEC of UTAG held an emergency meeting on Monday, 21st February 2022 at the University for Professional Studies, Accra, to deliberate on the way forward regarding the withdrawal of teaching and related services on the various campuses of the public universities. Following this, members evaluated the entire strike action with the aim of reaping the full benefit of improving the conditions of service of its members. The NEC of UTAG also considered the impact of our industrial action on our students and appeals that came from student groups like NUCS, USAG, GRASAG, and also the general public, especially parents and respected eminent leaders, including former President J. Ekufuor, Chancellor of University of Mines and Technology, Takwa, Sir Sam Juna, Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, and the National Security Minister, who came in on behalf of the President, and also the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the meeting, the NEC of UTAG resolved to heed the pleas of the eminent leaders, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, and other stakeholders to temporarily suspend the strike action up to 4th March 2022 to engage with the employer. For this, we call on the government to take advantage of this window to help improve the salary and general working conditions of the university teacher. We also call on the government to see to the implementation of the several agreements that have been signed in recent times. We call on all members of UTAG also to rally behind leadership and remain calm and resolute at this important phase of our history. In many forums, the employer has agreed with stakeholders that there is the need to improve the conditions of service of the university teachers. Thus, we are cautiously optimistic that the government will do the needful to improve the working conditions of the university teacher. We know that the government has not fulfilled its part of the bargain in many signed agreements in the recent past. However, the involvement of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education and other eminent persons, we expect the government to carry through its promises this time round. We will, however, not hesitate to resume the suspended strike action should government renege on its commitments at the end of the stipulated period of negotiation.
Our Central Regional Correspondent, Richard Kojanyako, has been monitoring activities at the University of Education, Winneba and University of Cape Coast, and he joins me via Zoom. Now, Richard, we understand University of Cape Coast plans to resume on Monday, 28th June. What about UEW?
Yes, so you are right. The University of Cape Coast, they are falling in line with their National Executive Committee meeting that was held at the University of Professional Studies. So on Monday, lectures will resume. As I speak with you at the University of Cape Coast, the students that went home are gradually returning. And so the campus is now becoming, it's becoming filled with the students. They went home because they didn't know when the strike was going to the strike action was going to be called off, and so that is the situation at the University of Cape Coast. At the University of Education, Winneba, as soon as the National Executive Committee came out to say that, well, they've been appealed to by some eminent persons in Ghana for them to call off their strike temporarily, they decided that, well, they are rejecting what the conclusions arrived at by the National Executive Committee, and so they are not going to call off their strike. So the students here have been interacting are confused. They do not know whether they are returning to school on Monday to resume lectures because the UTAG at the University of Education, Winneba, has announced that they are not suspending the strike that has been called. But in the last hour, the UTAG EEW has gone into a meeting to think about the decision they took earlier. And so we are hoping that by close of day, would have a word from the leadership at the University of Education, by UTAG, for them to suspend the strike or to stick to whatever they have decided to do. And so that is the situation at the University of Education, Winneba.
All right, thank you very much, Richard Kojanyako. Meanwhile, some universities have issued statements on the set date to resume academic activities. Let's start with Kwame University of Science and Technology, and they will resume academic work on Thursday. Let's see if we can get that statement on our screen. So it is announced, it was dated yesterday, 22nd February, and it is announced for the information of students and staff that following the suspension of the industrial action by UTAG, lectures for the 2022 academic year will begin on Thursday, 24th February 2022, which is tomorrow. All are kindly to take notes accordingly. Thank you. And it was signed by the Deputy Registrar Academic Affairs. Also, the Ghana Institute of Journalism has issued a statement, and they say they will resume on Monday, February 28th. And the statement was dated yesterday. Notice is hereby given that management has 22nd February, which was yesterday, 22, approved the following interim reopening arrangements pending the approval of the revised academic calendar and schedule of lectures by academic board. The first, number one, lectures for all students will commence on Monday, 28th February 2022. Please find the attached and approved timetable earlier circulated for your information and immediate action. And lectures for the first semester of the 2021-22 academic year will adopt a blended approach. So please find below the interim schedule for the week commencing Monday, 28th of February to 6th March 2022. You're still watching Joy News Desk. I'm going to take a quick breather. I'll be back with more. During the attempted robbery on a bullion van at the industrial area in Accra, a police officer who was on duty nearby forcefully intervened to stop the robbery. Whilst the robbers were fleeing the scene, they fired indiscriminately into the crowd. 3 people sustained various degrees of injuries and have been admitted at the Koloburu Teaching Hospital for treatment. The Inspector General of Police has spoken to the medical team at the hospital and the victims and assured them of the needed support. Beyond the police intervention, the armored bullion vehicle used to save the lives of the officials and police officer on board the vehicle, even though the robbers fired into the van. It has therefore become necessary to re-echo the police administration's call for all financial institutions in the country to resort to the use of such fit-for-purpose vehicles for their cash-in transit. Now, we wish to assure the public that police has intensified efforts to get the perpetrators arrested to face justice. We'll surely get them, and that was a statement released by the police administration. Let's go to my colleague Manuel Kranting, who is joining us live, and he's at the industrial area. Manuel, can you tell us what you have gathered so far?
So, Max, what we're seeing now, in just the past couple of minutes that we've seen at the screen here at the North Industrial area, we've been told that this is the scene of the incident which happened yesterday. And indeed, what we're told is that 4 gunmen on 2 motorbikes in helmets arrived at the scene. They had actually been tailing a bullion van which was carrying cash in transit, and we're told that they attacked that bullion van right at this particular junction, fired several rounds of ammunition into the bullion van. An indication that we have is that 3 people got injured in the process. It indeed took the intervention of a policeman who was on duty at a nearby bank to actually, get these suspects who were tailing the bullion van to move away. We'll just move across the street and speak to a few of the folks who indeed were here yesterday as the entire action went down. We're told that people had to run for their lives, helter-skelter right here at this intersection, which leads, if you like, connect the Kwame Nkrumah interchange all the way through. And how they were gripped by fear as the action was happening. To tell you that 4 people were on motorbikes, 2 motorbikes, just as the other incidents that we've seen with bullion van armed robberies in the country. Here, what told is an officer of one of these Masimanos, Pasoldia Boko. We are corporate operator. Okay, just catch me. Then Kasane na mo who say motorbikes e di omechi ana then Kasane see. Enra we are be 25 to 210. Yet ya pattern asia na who say bibi e blast e. Ti ne ka say bi aka bi na ne tire blast. Ti to aso 23. Ti nyina sorry dia plastic popo ba na ka se car na ne tapa nti ehwe na etu ti omu ye mienu enom ti moto mienu baako so ti nipa 4 ti baako fa ni sei no start so on fire sa nti manim pe na baako be yi ni to free ni bag mu when him just 10 meters okay no yi ni to na po fire car ne sa fire the ben okay tani to no fire car no bullion van no a white one one company bi of pass fire o boy mo no who say no say dem ye no enye ye nti ba ko no fa say nkoko fire I see now okay. I think the family is a bit fine. I'm not even the one. Who can know? I'm on top of my money. I am.
Okay. Okay, so you've just been explaining to me into that two motorbikes approached the bullion van with two people sitting on each of the motorbikes. There are four people. Now, they got off the motorbike, fired several shots into the bullion van, and were told that this bullion van is actually armored, and so the bullets could not penetrate the van. And when they realized that they actually intended, according to him, intended to fire the shot into the windscreen and get at the driver. But it took the intervention of a police officer, as he said, just telling us, who was on duty at the bank just close by to return fire. That is indeed, according to him, what warded off the robbers who had already shot into the crowd, injuring 3 people in the process.
You're still watching Joy News Desk. Daryl Kwa is standing by with business.
Unfortunate incident there. Well, now time for business. Let's bring you the stories. Ghana has been ranked as an underperforming economy among 4 nations in sub-Saharan Africa, including South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya. According to a survey conducted by a senior lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana, Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo, Ghana performed below expectations in all the indicators. For instance, the country's interest rate is currently on the rise, whilst its debt-to-total size of the economy is also a major concern. Speaking at the Access Pension Strategy Conference, Dr. Bafo highlighted the Treasury bill rates, inflation and performance of the local currency and the adverse credit ratings as some drivers of high interest rates in the country.
In a recent survey undertaken by a senior lecturer at the Economics Department of the University of Ghana, the country placed last among 4 economies in sub-Saharan Africa. This was as a result of an unstable economic environment. Here's Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo presenting her findings at the Access Pension Strategy Conference.
Why are interest rates high, and are they even high at all? Comparing Ghana to Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, Ghana's interest rate is way too high. We are doing more than double what is happening elsewhere. Look at the South Africans' interest rate, 7.3%. Nigeria, it's also great, but when you look at options for investment, you find that Nigeria is not doing too great compared to Ghana. So my emphasis really will be on Kenya and South Africa because we want to look at best practice.
Another survey conducted by Access Pension Trust showed that 72% of participants believed that equity markets will maintain momentum for pension funds in 2022. Presenting the findings, investment strategist Carl Okran explained that valuation levels are cheap to cause an increase in liquidity.
On the equity market, an interesting outcome, majority of participants believe that the equity market will maintain its momentum in 2022. 72% believe that. And what's going to drive the equity market is valuation levels are cheap from financial market perspective. If you look at where the market is trading, there's so much opportunity to earn some healthy returns, and also the new guidelines that sort of allows or promotes pension funds to enhance their allocation to the equity market may drive some liquidity into that space.
Meanwhile, Chief Investments Officer at Access Pension Trust, Nana Wiafe-Buama, outlined some sectors trustees can maximize values for contributions.
Our pension funds have invested over 90% of the assets in government or quasi-government securities. And we feel, if we really want to grow our economy and create a needed, job, then we may consistently, have to start allocating to the real sector. Tourism is an opportunity we could exploit. There's healthcare. People get sick and people need, to be treated. So healthcare remains an opportunity, right, for pension funds. Real estate, remains a very good, opportunity. So it cuts across. It cuts across agriculture, agribusiness, value addition. Those are all sectors we can direct resources to, to help grow, our economy.
All right, and just to update you on some other stories we're following for you, on our website, myjoyonline.com/business, benchmark value reduced to 30% for general goods, 10% for vehicles. Also, no need to panic. Cedi will soon bounce back. That's according to Professor Tex. You want to read more about that on myjoyonline.com/business. Up next, sports.
If you're wondering why I have a huge smile on my face, it's because my favorite person is in the studio with me. Hey. I missed you.
You disappeared now.
I know.
What's up?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Did you miss me?
I miss you. You're cute. You see that?
That's why he's my favorite person.
Yeah?
Yeah. What's happening in the world of sports?
Well, the UEFA Champions League matches that were played last night, Chelsea won 2-0 against Lille. Courtesy of goals from Kai Havertz and Christian Pulisic. They won 2-0. And in the other game, Villarreal also drew 1-1 against Juventus. But tonight is a night, a big, big night for Manchester United because they will come against Atletico Madrid. Manchester United haven't had the best of seasons, but European football is always different. Atletico Madrid will have not had the best of seasons in Europe as well. As well as domestically. So it's a contest of two teams that have not had best seasons so far domestically and in Europe. So we wait to see what Manchester United will be bringing to the table. Paul Pogba is back. There's also Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo, Marcus Rashford and co. But Atletico Madrid have always been a very difficult side. They made it to the Champions League final in 2014 and 2016 and losing both finals to Real Madrid. They are the defending champions of La Liga title. And this would always play in the minds of players when heading to fixtures like this. As to what is going to happen on the pitch was only determined by 90 minutes. But I do think that at the Wanda Metropolitano, Atletico Madrid stands a better chance in this fixture against Manchester United.
I see. Anything interesting happening here at home?
Yes. I know you like local stories. Yeah.
Did you get any call from any executive? Giving you some inside scoop?
Well, there are things that have been in the known for a while now. I remember a couple of weeks ago we spoke about Siki Akuno's salary situation. Yes, he met with the people and they were going to give him 2 months. It increased to 4 months. It's a story we have not done. We have only mentioned it here.
I mean, you Garrett.
So that is basically nothing more special. I'm also aware of the plans of the Ghana Football Association to engage some more players in the diaspora to ensure that they switch nationality to play for the Black Stars. I'm aware of an attempt to get research of Crystal Palace. The FA president was in the UK. He moved from Abu Dhabi to the UK for that meeting. We are hopeful that maybe by the time Otoado releases the squad for the Black Star, there will be some new names. I'm also very much aware of a conversation with Mohamed Salisu. It was Chris Hilton who had that conversation with him, with Otoado and then George Boateng. It's still unclear whether he's available, but as we speak, he has been spoken to. There might be some certainty that he'll be willing to play for the Black Stars soon, but I'm not sure he'll be available for the games against Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much, Muftau. You should say that it's good to have you back.
It's good to have you back. You're special, you know that.
And that's how we end Joy News Desk. For more news, you can log into myjoyonline.com. My name is Mapisa CBD. Enjoy the rest of your day.